A lot of people are having problems from this election, our recent election, and it's important that we take time for ourselves to do what we need to do to heal and to become stronger. However, I have been taking a stand against calling our friends and family and other people stupid or other names because they voted for the orange-faced monster. I'm Annette Bourbonniere from Nothing Without Us. This is my final, I hope, episode about this election. There are others doing excellent work on following up on the election and helping to build a resistance. It's time to get back to what this podcast is all about. But to finish on this, let's remember there is a saying, it's unofficially attributed to Mahatma Gandhi. It's unsure if that's who said it. But the saying is, an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. And it's true. We cannot be just, punching out wildly. We have to realize that our friends and other people who voted against not only our interests, but their own best interests, are not all real MAGA people, nor are they really unintelligent. Deceived, maybe. Vulnerable to what has been proposed as solutions to problems they are experiencing, likely. So we have to help them. Remind them what really made this country great, what made us a leader among other countries. And how did we all get here? We have to remember that those who came to this country came to escape the tyranny of their monarchs and dictators. Our founding fathers put into place freedoms meant to ensure that this country did not become another monarchy or theocracy. We did some bad things. Yes, we did. We had slavery, and we oppressed those who were here before us. We have the mechanisms to make things better. There seems to be some improvement in that, although not as much as they should be. Women weren't allowed to vote for more than 100 years. We fixed that. We acted out of fear in World War II and imprisoned Japanese Americans. We didn't put that even in our history books, which is, I think, a very big mistake, because when you act out of fear, you do bad things. And I think that's what is going to be happening again now. And we can't do that again. When we got back to basics and tried to make this country what it was really intended to be, we did some good things. We allowed women to vote. We passed the Civil Rights Act so all our citizens could vote. We passed the Americans with Disabilities Act so that those of us with disabilities could live full and active lives. We passed the Marriage Equality Act so that people could get married no matter who it was they loved. So we need to remember that every time we took one of those steps to become more inclusive, we made America better for everyone. And we need to hold on to that thought rather than berate those who lost their way. So I know we talked a bit about tariffs before, but let's go back to how that's happening, because people were deceived into believing that these tariffs were going to save their jobs and make the economy better. And as an economist, I know a little bit about tariffs. I know that when tariffs are applied to specific products under specific circumstances, they can help prevent predatory markets. But I also know when you apply tariffs broadly, against all countries, every country that exports to us, and, at different levels, but to every one of them, it's like drinking a great big glass of poison and expecting all your enemies to die. Not if we're drinking it. Does everybody really know that? This is not something that is taught in grade school or high school, and not even everybody who goes to college studies economics. So we can pick up information from news sources if we are dealing with honest and reliable journalism. However, corporate media failed us this time, and they were allowed to bend and twist the public information leaving many people without the tools they needed to make the best decisions and to make the decisions others of us made. Another reason for not calling people names because of the results of the election is that we're all going to be affected by this. We need to be working together. When we resort to the same tactics that others resorted to, we're contributing to the divide, not finding ways to close it. The next couple of years are going to be very difficult for all Americans. That is an inescapable reality. We need to work together to find ways to diminish the worst effects of what's going to be happening. It's going to be very hard to work together if we're fighting against each other. Now, I'm not saying that the orange-faced monster and his most vocal followers are the people we want to work with. What I am saying is that most people that voted for that monster were misled. People have a right to believe that the media is telling them the truth when in fact the media failed us in a major way this time. So moving forward, and we really need to move forward, we need to also look at what we teach in our schools. Are we teaching our children the values of acceptance and inclusion? Are we showing them that example in our homes? Are we teaching our children how to sort through the torrents of information they are exposed to? The Orange-Faced Monster and the MAGA organization have shown, first of all, they are really adept at getting their misinformation exposed in a major way. They also have shown that they're opposed to teaching the values we want and the skills we want. So this is where we really need to start our personal resistance. Take a stand about what our children are being taught instead of worrying that inclusion is dangerous. That is a lie that is being brought to us by that orange-faced monster and MAGA. We need to know better and we need to act better. We need to teach our children better. So let's take the time to evaluate statements rather than take them at face value. For example, one that's been thrown around a lot is that schools are performing surgeries that change the gender of our children. Does anybody really believe that? Schools have trouble affording books and pencils, the technology that's needed to teach children. Do you think they have major hospital units located within them? Once you realize how ridiculous the idea is that schools do this, ask yourself why someone would say it. It is being said with hate and a desire to instill fear in others so that others will hate. There is no other reason for doing that. So we need to really think about this. We need to make that kind of a decision every time someone makes a statement that doesn't sound right, but it sounds like it makes you afraid. Step back and think about what might be the reality and the motivation to say such outrageous things. Find the facts. Once you know how to separate what is real and what is being said solely to generate fear, teach our children how to come to that same conclusion. Teach our children not to take everything adults say at face value. Instill values that are meaningful in all our children. This is how we can handle misinformation and how we can protect our children from the long-term effects of misinformation. This is how we can help ourselves, our friends, our family, and our children make better choices in the future. At the same time, let's support those organizations that have the ability to legally prevent some of the worst effects of what's going to be happening in the next few years. We are all in this together, and we need to remember that. Let's help guide others rather than push them away. If you like the work I'm doing here, please support this podcast by joining. You can subscribe for free, but I am beginning to offer some work and even some live interactive discussions for some paid members. So please leave me a like and leave me comments to let me know what you want to hear discussed and who you would like to hear from. I would also appreciate you telling your friends how to find me at patreon.com/nothingwithoutus. Episodes can also be found on YouTube, and you can also follow me now on Blue Sky, that new platform which is growing rapidly, and along with LinkedIn, Instagram, and Threads. Until the next Nothing Without Us, I'm Annette Bourbonniere.